Just doing a little ranching out here. Learning some lingo. Don't squat with your spurs on. Because when you're ranching, you got your livestocking, and then you got your rotoing, road, rodeoing, and you got your ranch improvements. So that's what we're working on today is some ranch improvements. And they've invited me out here for a number of years, and I thought it'd be fun to give back and do something for them. So today I'm working on some custom shelves, cowboy shelves, actually. That's what I'm calling them, cowboy shelves. Because out here they got metal buildings and they're affordable and they're durable, and when you have risk of wildfires, they're great, and you see a lot of them out here. But doing custom shelves in a metal building is kind of a challenge. So I'm going to walk you through how I was able to do that and sort of improvise. And I think they're going to be really happy with what they see. So hopefully you'll stick around. Giddy up, y'all.
So here's a video of the before image, and a lot of people use this ranch, frankly. So I think collectively we've all contributed to the state it's in, including myself. And I'm not sure what to call it. It's kind of a carport slash garage slash workshop, and it functions as all three things. There's a barrel there with some lawn implements, and we'll get to that in a subsequent video. But here you see there's a rib that's running horizontally the width of the workshop. And not only is it narrow, where you can't really use it as a shelf per se, but it's also not level. And there's a girder that runs along the width of the upper part of the wall, and it's not level here. And I'm demonstrating not level so you can see it. And I had one thing working in my advantage, and that's the fact that lumber, particularly wide lumber like this, I got 2x12s. You can see there's some natural cupping. And somebody used that cupping to my advantage to help lift the lumber up a little bit to make it level. And the process was just to take the piece of lumber put them on the sawhorse and take some measurements and make my cuts. And there was a lot of cuts. So after I cut my first piece, then there was a couple of things I wanted to do to help me make this level. And the first was to set the wood cupping side up. So that lifted up the front edge a little bit more to make it level. And I put some shims underneath initially just to help with that process as well. And then the last thing I did was take a hammer drill, and I drilled a hole as far back on that rib as I could, where I was going to place then some carriage bolts through the back and tighten them up really good. And all those things combined sort of helped to level things out. Yeah, so once I had the hole drilled from the hammer drill, then I got the carriage bolts, and this is what I'm referring to here with the washer and the nut to go with it. And so I had 3 2x12s. They were 8 feet long, and that gave me 24 feet, which is almost exactly the width of the workshop, which is great. And yeah, just slipped them into the hole and then used a socket wrench to tighten everything up. And I didn't mention it earlier, but there was also a rib that ran along the bottom, almost to the floor. And I had to repeat this process for the bottom as well, so that I could sandwich the vertical pieces of wood between them. And it was kind of a cheater method. I wanted to have shelves here, and I grabbed here I'm just checking the verticals for level. You can see I had to notch it out a little bit for that rib. There was a tall gas can that I wanted to be on that bottom shelf, so I found a piece of styrofoam that was about the same height as the gas can, and it was sort of a cheater method to make sure that the 2x4 supports that I was going to use for that shelf were going to be the same height on both sides. And then I just grabbed the 2x12 and slipped it on top. And if you do have a shelf that runs that wide, you're probably going to want to support it with a vertical upright. And I went back after this and put in a vertical upright just below that shelf. And yeah, here's basically it's all done. And really happy. I need to start on the top, so I had to use that same method with the carriage bolts and the hammer drill on the top. I put 2x4s all on the top, and then I used that T-Bevel just to get the angle right, and then made the cuts on the vertical pieces to match that angle so they would slip in right underneath those 2x4s that ran the width of the workshop. And then, yeah, you probably saw that big 55-gallon drum earlier that had a bunch of lawn implements in it, and that was taking up a lot of room. So I got this hole saw, it was about 2.5 inches in diameter, and that worked for just about every lawn implement that we had. So I just drilled a bunch of holes, equally spaced them up the vertical so I could then slip in the lawn implements right into that. And there's an old table saw that's on the workbench that frankly takes up a lot of room. So I measured out the width of the table saw there, and this is kind of an unorthodox method, but I had some extra 2x12s laying around, so I cut them to that same width, and then I just screwed them down on top of the shelf so that I could basically put that table saw out of the way when it's not in use. And here's the finished product. And I think it looks great, and I think the owners are going to be very pleased. Everything is sort of put away and organized and just looks so different than it did before.
Partner. Yeah, get your giddy up. Get your giddy up. Mm-hmm. Oh, this thing's really tall. Put it back on my head a little bit. And put it down a little bit. Yeah. A little cow poking. See? That's what it's about. Yippee-ki-yay. Is that how you say that? I've been studying up on some cowboy speak. And one of them in here says, take care of the horse. Take care of the horse you rode in on. So that's what I'm doing today by building some custom shelves. And that's called livestock. Livestock. That's called ranch improvement. Actually, that's what I'm calling them. Cowboy shelves.